Hey everyone, welcome to another Halloween themed video. Yes, I'll be talking about two animated Halloween classics that I love and I pretty much watch every Halloween season, and that is ParaNorman and Coraline. And I'm going to be talking about in this video what I think is the more superior film, because when it comes to kids films or animated films, the two films that people talk about the most, well, Nightmare Before Christmas, but there's no debate on that one. It's better than both of them. But these are the two that are wildly talked about the most, is ParaNorman and Coraline, because they're not just animated films, they're not just like Halloween animated films, but they're like straight up pretty scary animated films. And I want to talk about which one I find the scariest, which one I find the best story, and just all around the more superior film, and the film that I would probably recommend more during the Halloween season. And this is coming from someone who loves both films. I'm not going to be biased towards any one of the films. I enjoy both of them pretty much almost equally, but I do find one of them a superior film. So I'll be breaking down the characters, the stories, the scares, the atmosphere, all that kind of shit. And yeah, I'm going to just talk about it. And this is a completely subjective video. All of what I'm saying is opinion. It's not straight facts. Other than me talking about the acting, who's acting it and directing it, that's factual, but my opinions are my opinions. So let's get to it. Yes, Coraline versus ParaNorman. Let's talk about the two main characters first. Coraline and Norman themselves. I'm glad the movies are named after them. Don't cause too much confusion. Coraline is the main character of Coraline, played by Dakota Fanning. And she is a little girl, and she's moved to a new town, and they move into this new spooky house, and she finds out that at the bottom of their house there is basically a door that leads to another alternate world run by an evil spirit called the Beldome, who basically wants a child. She's desperate for a child, and she finds Coraline and basically offers Coraline all this great stuff and basically the perfect mother and the perfect life for her to live there forever. But the only thing she has to give up is her eyes. She wants to rip her eyes out and replace them with buttons. And that will bind her soul to the Beldome forever. And Coraline basically has to deal with the temptation and get out of that world alive. That's Coraline. That's her character. That's her story. That's her arc. Norman is very different. He's also a little boy, but he has powers. He's basically the kid from The Sixth Sense. He can see ghosts. He can see dead people. And the entire town thinks he is absolutely insane. They think he's nuts because he's talking to things. He's talking to dead animals. And no one likes him. They either are afraid of him or they just think he's a freak. And basically, it is the night of the witch's curse. And a long time ago in this town, this witch named Agatha was burned at the stake. Basically, it was almost like a Salem witch trial. She had these magical powers and people burned her alive. So every year, someone needs to read a bedtime story to put the ghost to sleep for a whole year. And that tradition has to be done every single year. But sadly, the tradition doesn't get done, so Norman has to face the consequences of that. And Agatha rises from the dead and raises zombies from the dead. And it's up to Norman and his powers and his friends to put Agatha back to rest for good. So we got very different stories and very different characters. Coraline is just a normal girl who basically wants to be accepted, and she's in a new place, in a new town, and she had to leave behind her friends and stuff, and she wants the perfect parents that will give her everything and give her all this attention. And when she meets the Beldome, she gets all that, but then she realizes it's not real. It's all a fantasy. And then she realizes the fantasy turns into a nightmare. So Coraline's arc is basically accepting her parents of who they are. They are working hard parents, but she has to deal with that. And she also has to deal with her own courageousness because she has to get out of the world alive and she can't be too scared. And she is a very fascinating character. And she is like most children. Kids want attention. Kids want their parents to pay attention to them. And, they want all the great stuff that the Beldome is offering her. They want, like, ice cream for dinner. They want, like, all these amazing toys and stuff and go to bed anytime they want. They want a whole town dedicated to them. Kids want that attention. So it's a very realistic depiction of a child is Coraline. Norman is also very different and very relatable for kids because a lot of kids get bullied and a lot of kids do strange things, and people don't know how to accept other children when they have weird abilities and stuff. And Norman just wants to be accepted by people. He knows what he is a freak, but he wants people to believe he has these powers because even his own parents don't believe him and think he's a freak. And Norman is just a scared kid, but he's a kid that will do whatever it takes to put an end to the witch's curse. So what do I think of these characters? And Norman's played by Cody Smith-McPhee, who did Let Me In and stuff. Very good actor. I think both are great characters. And I think depicting as children, they are both very realistic kids. They're very different, but they're both very realistic and have relatable problems that kids go through. But who do I think is the more superior character? I think Norman is the more superior character for this round. I think Norman's the better character. I think Norman has the more likability. He has the bravery, and plus he talks to dead people. That's just fucking cool and stuff. He has also a lot more of a sense of humor than Coraline. Coraline is still a relatable and enjoyable character, but Norman has the sense of humor and stuff, and he has these amazing abilities and just his bravery and stuff. And the way he deals with the problem in the movie is interesting. It's not just like fighting and slaying the ghost. It's actually talking it out and finding more about the ghost. And it's he uses his mind, his intelligence to defeat the villain in the end. And I really enjoy that and I admire that. So Coraline's a great character, but I give the edge to Norman as a better character. So Norman's the better character, but what about the side characters? Who has the better side characters? Coraline has a lot of interesting ones. Sadly, I barely remember their names. I remember the neighbor kid that has the crazy bike and stuff. I remember the talking cat, the two crazy ladies in the basement, and of course, the parents. I'm not going to get to the Belzome. I'm going to keep the villains separately, but they have the acrobatic guy, the Caroline, that guy, he's pretty great. But I'd say the sad thing about Coraline, the side characters, like I said, I've seen the movie many times. I don't remember their names. They're not bad characters. They're just not very memorable characters, other than the villain, which I'll get to. But Coraline herself is a great character, but the side characters are just kind of there. They just gotta do their own thing. They have their own like character nicks and crannies. They have their own kind of personalities, but you don't really remember them. ParaNorman, you remember these characters. You remember Alvin and Courtney and Neil and his closeted homosexual brother. You remember the zombies. You remember these characters. You remember his dad who's scared of him and his mom who's very supportive. And you remember the voice actors because Anna Kendrick, Christopher Mintz-Plaze's in it, Casey Affleck, a lot of big actors in this movie, and you just remember them. They all have their distinct personalities because Casey Affleck is this macho brother, but who's kind of an idiot, but also a closeted homosexual. You got Alvin, who's this punk bully, but is also an idiot and doesn't know what the hell he's doing. You got his sister, who seems like a bitch, but really, she is there to help and protect Norman. And then you got Neil, Norman's friend in the movie, who I just love. He's just this lovable fat kid that has irritable bowel syndrome and relatable kid, relatable. And so I just remember these characters more. Again, Coraline's characters aren't bad characters, but just when it comes to ParaNorman, they're a lot more distinct characters. I just remember them. And plus the zombies, they're awesome. So side characters, again, goes to ParaNorman. But what about the villains? We got two distinct villains here. We got the Beldome from Coraline, and we got Agatha from ParaNorman. This is not even a debate of who the best villain is, but let's get to it. The Beldome is whatever form she takes of whatever child's mother it is. And so it takes the form of Coraline's mother, and basically is just her mother, but with button eyes, and she's offering Coraline all these amazing, terrific things, and this is what a perfect life would be if you just stay with me and let me rip your eyes out and put buttons in it. It sounds horrifying. And then you can just tell the fear, you can just tell the fear all the minions of the Beldome have for her. Like, they're just, like, forced to do this for the Beldome. And then just the way you see the ghost of these children with these button eyes and just the sheer fear of all these people from the Beldome is just incredible, absolutely incredible. All the scary atmosphere is because of the Beldome. So what about Agatha? Agatha is a great character. I love Agatha because she's not a straight villain, because what happened to her was not her fault. She did use witchcraft, but back in that day, they thought you were a spawn of Satan and gonna kill everybody. So people murdered her, and they didn't need to. And she took revenge on all people because it wasn't her fault, and she was not a bad person. So basically, hers is just a revenge story. I think her story is a lot more touching, and I think she's a lot more of a likable character, and you feel bad for Agatha. And she's a villain that you root for because you understand why she's doing it. However, though, the Beldome is a better villain because she's fucking horrifying. She is just terrifying. The fact that she turns into a big spider in one scene, and just the way her like face stretches, and then she cuts little children's eyes out. That's horrifying. So, with no question of doubt, the Beldome gets the edge. So, Beldome, much better villain. So, what about scary? What is a more scary film? Like, these are both kids' movies. What's scarier? Is it spirits or is it zombies? What is more terrifying? I think this is also obvious because getting into the Beldome, the zombies are creepy, but they're more for comical sakes too, because ParaNorman is a scary movie, but it's also a funny movie. It's got a lot of great slapstick, a lot of great comedy. Coraline is not a comedy. It is not. It is a straight fantasy child horror film. It is horrifying. ParaNorman's like a horror comedy. Very obvious what the scary one is, because as much as cool as the zombies are, and as cool as Agatha is, and when she does the whispering, and when she turns into the creepy little girls at the end, all of that's pretty horrifying shit, but the Beldome is an intimidating force, and she just makes that movie unsettling. And plus, the music in Coraline. The music in ParaNorman is a lot more cool and edgy and stuff, but the music and the music in Coraline is just terrifying. It's haunting. It's just bleak, and just the sheer atmosphere of Coraline is just so unsettling. Everything about Coraline just has this bleak atmosphere, and just it's a lot more scary. So if we're going scary, Coraline gets the edge. So, final one, the story. What has the better story? Does Coraline have the better story, or does ParaNorman have the better story? Both are great stories. Again, it's a story about a girl moving to a different town. She finds this other world, and this creature wants to take her and raise her as her own child and stuff. And then there's a little boy who's not accepted because he can see ghosts and see the dead. And then this witch comes with a witch's curse, and he has to put an end to the curse and stuff. Both great stories, and great stories to watch during the Halloween season. So I don't think either one of them are bad stories. But for me, what I think is a more interesting story is ParaNorman. ParaNorman's a lot more of an interesting story because Coraline is solely about Coraline. ParaNorman's a lot about other things too. It's about his other friends. It's about the witch's curse and the zombies. ParaNorman also has a lot of good twists. Like, you find out the zombies, you think they work for the witch, but really they're the people that killed the witch and stuff. There's a lot of great scenes in ParaNorman. And the fact that Norman himself uses kindness to get the witch to stop it, and just finds her she's just a scared little girl. That's all Agatha is. She's not this big dominant force like the Beldome. She's just a scared child that misses her family and just wants peace. And she thinks taking peace away from people of the village would give her peace, but it's not. It's a very deep film, and it's a lot more profound than Coraline is. And again, it has more broad characters, more likability. It's got a lot of good comedy, and I love good comedy as well. And it's got the scares, it's got the atmosphere, it's got the comedy, the emotion and stuff, and it's just everything I want in a Halloween movie. As much as I love Coraline, I think ParaNorman is the superior film, my opinion. But again, that's just all my opinions. So in the comment section below, please tell me, what movie is a better film, Coraline or ParaNorman? Both are great, but ParaNorman gets the edge for me. But what about you? Give me your thoughts and opinions. Comment below, let me know. And as always, for this video, please subscribe to the channel and join the dark side.